Hey everybody, Kevin Garrett with Lesley as well as Tori Tatum. And we're here today to kind of do a follow-up on a call that we did roughly about a month ago. At that time, we spent a lot of time talking about market conditions and how the markets were acting and reacting and some of the concerns that was creating for us as investors. And then we took a step on from there and started spending some time talking a little bit about the impact on us as humans through this whole pandemic. And I felt it made a lot of sense. And so I reached out to Tori to say, how about revisiting this from the standpoint of we've been in this for another month. Markets have stabilized, but there's a lot of other social dynamics in play here that are, I think, creating ongoing concerns, stresses, and whatnot for us. And so I wanted to ask Tori to come back, spend some time talking to us today about that. Before we get to that specific thing, I wanted to say hey to both Lesley and to Tori. How are you ladies doing today?
Hey, Kev. Doing good. Doing really good. How about you, Tori?
Doing good as well. Glad to be here.
Beautiful day.
Well, I'm glad you guys could make it. And so let's just talk a minute about this, Tori, and then we'll revisit these things. But basically, you're talking to your clients, I'm talking to my clients, and I guess we're probably hearing some overlapping elements around emotions. Can you tell me a little bit about what you're hearing and maybe discuss that for a second?
Yeah, absolutely. What I'm seeing the most, and it has shifted some in the progression of this pandemic, but originally it was a lot of anxiety and a lot of grief, and people are anxious about the transition into this new norm. People are scared about what's going to happen to their jobs, to their income, to their families. People are nervous about what life is about to look like, being on a stay home or a homestay. And people are experiencing grief over, a lot of those same things, over what life looks like right now, over the normalcy of things that they're losing through social distancing, such as typical get-togethers and family holidays and people's birthdays and just the celebrations and the way that we live and function together. What I have noticed more recently is that I have seen a decline in people's anxiety regarding the pandemic, but what I am seeing is maybe an increase in emotions such as anger or frustration. And higher levels of discomfort with what it's going to be like going back into society and whether we're ready for that or not.
Well, and I want to get into that a little bit more as we go through this. One thing I think maybe just as a point of reference for folks, because we're videotaping this the first week of May, and we since we last talked, we've gone through a lot of things that have occurred in terms of the market, and maybe this will help stabilize the market stabilize a little bit. So maybe this will also help some of our listeners in terms of some of the anxiety around the financial aspects of it. Certainly, I don't feel like we're out of the woods at all as it relates to potential new bad news that will be rolling in as time goes on, and we really don't know. There's still so much not to try to understand about this virus, but also just things that we just need to learn about how we're going to be able to kind of get back to business as Americans. But from the standpoint of the market, looking back, March was one of the worst months in history. It was certainly a record breaker from the standpoint of where we went from a peak in the market to a drop in the market from mid-February to mid-March. But then something odd happened in April, and we ended up having the best month in over 30 years in terms of market gains. So that created a little bit of a V shape where the market came down and then it bounced back a little bit. In thinking about it in the context of past events, I think it's worth kind of keeping things in context. And this is a lot of what I'm talking to my clients about right now, which is to say, we've been through major events before: world wars, depressions, recessions, terrorist attacks, market meltdowns as it relates to the financial well-being of our banking systems. And in all cases, the market took a hit and then they came back. And I firmly believe that this is not going to be any different than that. I think we're going to see ongoing volatility in the marketplace. I think we're going to see issues around maybe the market dropping quite a bit and causing concerns. But over the longer haul, basically, I'm looking at it from the context of a year from now. My feeling is that we're going to be in a better position, both from the standpoint of knowing what's going on with treatments, vaccines, and we'll have a better idea about earnings for the companies. There's going to be some companies that are going to fail. There's going to be some companies that are going to thrive. And we'll have just a better idea of all of that. And with that, I think we'll start to see the market kind of coming back to where we were back before all of this good stuff happened originally. In the meantime, there's certain things that just I would tell any investor to be thinking about. These are the things that we're talking to our clients about. In some cases, there's an opportunity to do some tax loss harvesting on some clients' investments, and basically all you're doing there is taking the loss and trying to apply them against future gains, so that we're managing tax implications for our clients. Rebalancing portfolios, we'll be continuing to do some of that as needed. We're looking at all clients' portfolios in context to their financial plans and seeing how they're sitting in that. And because our clients are pretty well diversified, the impact that they're seeing often on television is not the same that they're seeing when it comes to their own individual portfolios. They've been pleasantly surprised by the fact that they look better than they maybe thought they were going to look when they were watching television.
That's certainly a pleasant surprise.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's been nice. I think the other couple of things just to think about is, in some cases, it may make sense to convert your regular IRA to a Roth IRA, especially while the market's down a little bit. And if I'm correct in saying that I think maybe we'll see some dips in the market going forward, there still may be some opportunities to do that. And the other things is just continue to focus on trying to save some money, where maybe reevaluate your spending. I know in our household, we're taking a look at saying, were some of the things that we used to do, does that still make sense? And are we even missing them? Les, you can talk to that a minute, because I know we spend a little time talking to some of those costs.
Well, yeah, I mean, the fact that we're not running around all over town. I mean, unfortunately, we are saving on gas when gas prices are as low as they've been in, I don't know, a decade. But yeah, we are eating in a lot more. We talk about the cost of a glass of wine when you're out versus, the cost of a glass of wine when you're in. So yeah, it's kind of interesting. And it'll be interesting to see how many people really continue to get their nails done because they've been living for a couple of months without their nails. And it's like, that was money I didn't really need to be spending. I liked it, but maybe it's not the thing that I'm going to move forward with. So it's going to be interesting to see where the cutbacks and the things where you just really do miss certain creature comforts of going out and sitting in a nice restaurant and letting someone wait on you versus making dinner in your house every night, so we'll see what comes in the next couple of months for sure.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people are going to be redefining what typical life looks like for them.
Yeah, what is normal? Everybody goes, when we get back to normal, I'm like, what's normal?
Right.
Wearing a mask is not what we used to do, but that's going to probably be the new normal for a while,
Yeah.
I know personally our new normal is about to change, because we're about to introduce a new puppy into our lives on this Friday. So that should be pretty interesting around our house.
Yeah, that's where we're offsetting all the expense, all the things that we're saving money on. We are now getting Amazon packages, and Chewy.com is our new best friend, and we're it's like we keep saying it's the perimenopausal baby shower. It's the woman who wants a baby who's going to end up getting a puppy. So it's a lot of fun, but again, little expense here and there.
Yep. New norm.
It's going to be a new norm for us.
So, I mean, aside from managing puppies and and lower gas bills. I mean, I think we also have to be thinking just about how do we get through this in one piece. And I know, we have 3 kids in our house that are chomping at the bit to get out, and they're not very happy these days, and I'm not happy for them. I mean, I was saying something the other day about the fact that probably my saddest personal emotion through this whole thing is the effect on the 3 kids that we have. So just seeing them not being able to live the life they want to live right now is tough. Tori, I mean, what are you saying to people who are dealing with that kind of those kind of emotions and things that really, you wouldn't have even expected to have to be thinking about just a few months ago?
Absolutely. It's a good question. I was speaking with someone the other day, and they told me that they heard this analogy that we are all in the same storm, but we are riding in different boats. Mm-hmm. And I feel like that is so true and just so appropriate for this time because, in so many ways, we are all in this together. It's new and can be anxiety provoking, like that fits the facts of what's happening because it's an unknown. And at the same time, we all have these extenuating circumstances that make our personal stories ours and quite different from our neighbors or from our cousins or different family members and friends. And so what I would say is, in order for us to show up for other people, we have to show up for ourselves. And in order to do that, it takes acknowledging whatever it is that you're experiencing. We have to first acknowledge it in order to know how to change it. And so if you're feeling anxious, if you're feeling grief, if you're feeling anger, if you're feeling contentment, that's fine too. But acknowledging those emotions is vitally important in changing them, if it's something that you want to change. And then changing them looks like assessing your needs, and that might change on a daily basis. For the kids, sometimes they might need to numb out and watch some Netflix because they're just tired and they don't know what to do in this new norm. Sometimes it might be to go outside and play some games or to run around the neighborhood, have a picnic outside, whatever that looks like, home projects. I've known a lot of people to be doing those. And I think it's also important to say that during this time, there's no rule that says that you have to be productive and you have to be doing all the things that have been on your list to do at your home for 30 years. It's okay to relax. It's okay to do nothing. It's okay to have a game night. It's okay to read a book and not do anything else that day. And so really just assessing your needs, I think, is vitally important during this time. And outside of that, I would say, as you're talking to people, just be aware of the fact that your situation isn't exactly their situation, and hold empathy for how their situation may be different than yours. And if today I feel contentment over the fact that after I get off this call, I get to go downstairs and I'm done for the day. And I'm talking to a friend and she's like, I still have so many more clients to see today, or I'm feeling really stressed about the fact that I haven't left the house in 2 months. It's me holding that space for her and saying, you know what, that makes complete sense, and that's okay.
So basically giving yourself, but also maybe people around you, permission to feel the way they're feeling.
Exactly.
That's a really good point, because I think in the beginning of all this, I had a lot of nervous energy because I'm used to going and doing. It's just what with family of 3 and business and, running all over Atlanta and just traffic. You have to plan extra time in your day just to get someplace. So I was just trying to fill my days like I always do. And now I'm like, well, maybe I don't have to move every minute. I still am moving because that's just the nature of me, but I don't know that I'm doing it at that intensity that I was in the beginning, because I'm realizing this is going to last a while. In the beginning, I kept thinking, well, it's going to be done in, a week or 2. So I'm going to start painting some areas of the house and just getting some projects done, working in the yard. And then it's like, no, this might be our whole summer.
Yes. Exactly. Let's spread some of these to-dos out.
Exactly. It's like, you don't have to break your back this week because we might be doing this a little while. Good point.
So looking ahead, I mean, I think the unknown, Tori, how do you deal with the unknown of when this ends? Because I think this could go a couple of different ways. This could be, as we could continue to kind of see a progression toward opening up over the next couple of months and having a relatively calm transition back by mid-late summer, or we could see infections going up and things shutting back down, and maybe the market kind of reacting badly and people reacting badly. So there's still a lot of unknowns in our immediate future. Any suggestions or thoughts on how to kind of manage our expectations over the next couple of months?
Yeah, that's such a good point. I think it's vitally important at all times for us to be constantly aware of ourselves, but more importantly, trying to live in the present moment and what's happening today. It is wonderful to plan ahead. There's so many good things about goals, about small goals, about large goals, about working towards those things. But it's hard to live in uncertainty and have expectations for how things are going to turn out. And for this day and time, I would say, for instance, with your clients, working with you to plan ahead for leaning on your expertise, basically, for what they need going towards the future for their finances. But when it comes to just protecting themselves and taking care of their lives right now, it's reminding yourself that we don't have control over what comes, and remembering the things that we do have control over right now, which is our, again, ability to assess what's going on and do things around us to try to help improve or change those circumstances. And also, just the reiteration that we are not all in the same boat. And so our uncertainty may look different from someone else's uncertainty. And it's okay for them to be more stressed than you are about those things.
Yeah,
So,
and they may even be just because they're different people. I mean, Lesley and I joke about the fact that I'm much more comfortable with being able to spend the day reading and reviewing things, and she's good for about 15 minutes doing that, and then she wants to get up and get going and doing different things. So honoring each other's perspective and the fact that we're different in that regard is probably a good thing to remember as well for people around us.
yeah, absolutely. So I'm not sure if y'all are familiar with the Enneagram, but it is kind of a fun personality test. Are y'all familiar with it?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So not that you have to know about that, but I just find it interesting that there is a particular number on there where, people get this idea that they are overly stressed or that they worry too much about all unknown circumstances. And I just like to remind people that that's actually a protective mechanism. That is a beautiful part of a personality that basically is thinking about all of the possible outcomes in the future and saying, okay, how can I help myself right now, knowing A, B, C, and D might happen? How can I go ahead and plan? How can I protect myself? And so, worry can be consuming, and also worry can be healthy, can be motivating. And so just making sure to protect yourself from stepping over that line and it being all consuming versus, being where you are, noticing that you have some worry and trying to see what is in your control to do about that.
That's great stuff. I think I'm sensitive to our time here because I know talking about everybody's attention span. We don't want to take too much of anybody's time today, but I think these are great things to just think about and keep in mind, and recognizing that we do have some control over the things that we can control, which is our own emotions and our own feelings to some extent, and then to the extent that we need assistance in that. Great professionals like Tori are out there that we probably need to be leaning on. Just to kind of wind things up on my end, I just kind of want to just remind people that this is a temporary situation. This is not something that we're going to be living with for years and years and years. Yeah, there's financial wreckage out there to deal with and contend with, and it won't get fixed overnight. But I think that if you're doing the things that you need to do as it relates to watching your spending, avoiding getting yourself further into debt in the time being, and also making sure that whoever you're working with from a financial planning perspective, that you're reviewing your plan, that you're making sure that you're diversified in terms of your investment strategy, and managing down the risk associated with your portfolio right now is a really good idea, and a conversation you need to be having with folks. And then reaching out to people like Tori, and to the extent that you need some assistance in managing yourself and some of the feelings that you're having or that your family members are having, because that's really an important part. We want to get through this as completely and as much in a single whole as we can, I guess. Tori, do you have anything else that you'd like to just add, or less for that matter?
Yeah, I just would like to say, earlier I heard you talking about a year from now, and it sounds like you have hope for what society can look like, what the economy can look like at that time. And hope is such a powerful tool. And, we are all in uncertain times right now. And I encourage you to just hold hope for the future, that things are going to improve. They won't always be like this. And to maybe even be a holder of that for the people around you whenever they are experiencing these maybe challenging emotions and don't know what to do with them, to just be a beacon of hope that things will change.
That's great stuff.
That's great.
Les, anything else from your end?
Well, what she was just talking about reminds me of just our family saying is strength for today and bright hope for tomorrow. That's just what you wish on our whole planet right now, and us as individuals. But I mean, we are like you said, Tori, in the same storm, but not in the same boat. So just to be gentle with the people around you, and just try to have a little more patience.
Yes, absolutely. Patience is a beautiful strength to have.
Whew, it's hard sometimes.
It's hard.
Well, guys, thanks again for your time today, and thank you for those of you on the taking the time to watch this video. I had Tori's contact information listed here. And it was on there for a couple of minutes, and also our contact information. If you feel like you'd like to reach out and chat with either one of us, we're certainly available to do that. And we're also going to post this online. There's some additional links that you may want to explore depending on your individual situation, that hopefully will help you maybe getting some information as it relates to your family's needs. But until we talk again, Lesley, Tori, thanks for your time, and everybody stay healthy and stay positive and strong. We'll get through this, and we'll look forward to seeing you soon. Thanks again. Bye-bye.
Yes.